All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pastrami Nation podcast. I'm Kevin. Joining me today, we have a very special guest. We have a comic book writer. He's a now the publisher of Source Point Press.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Dirk Manning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Pastrami Nation podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate this. It's just, I'm really happy to be here. Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. No, it's an honor to have you here. And just right before we got started, we were talking about horror. You're a big horror guy. We're big horror fans, and you wrote a short film called The Hunger on Black Box TV, which is amazing. And I just had to give props, have to give a shout out to that. If you guys haven't watched it, go check it out on YouTube. The Hunger, it's on Black Box TV. You won't be disappointed. Make sure to watch both parts, though. I didn't know it was 2 parts. It's a short, but they just cut it in half. So
it was Black Box TV's first ever 2-part episode.
And, that's cool.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that because Tony Valenzuela was a fan of my comic series Nightmare World, and he wanted to adapt something from Nightmare World, and I said, well, that's going to become a sticky wicket. Let me do something new. So then we did The Hunger, which went on. I didn't know who was in it till I watched it, like when it debuted.
Right.
But it was John Grease, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Features early Bonnie Aarons, who went on to become the Nun.
So cool.
And directed by Drew Daywalt, who is now a very famous, established children's author with The Day the Crayons Quit and stuff like that. So yeah, just I appreciate you give an old school shout out to The Hunger on Black Box TV because
it's fun.
A fun film to write. And
if you like horror stuff, definitely check it out. So let's talk about. So first, I want to get started kind of at the beginning. So you've worn a bunch of hats in the comic book industry before you get to the position you are now. Yeah. Let's just kind of start at the beginning. So you have these couple of books that you're really known for: Tales of Mr. Rhee and Nightmare World. But you've worked on a ton of other things. How did you kind of just get started in the world of comics?
I've always been a voracious reader, right? I've been a voracious reader my whole life. I was one of those kids that was like born reading, basically.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that.
And big props to my folks. They always read to me every night and stuff like that. So that was helpful too. But I didn't discover comics till I was in my teens. I tell the full story in a book, a prose book I wrote called Right or Wrong, A Writer's Guide to Creating Comics. Like I talk about getting into comics. But the short version is I didn't start reading comics till I was a teenager. And the first 3 graphic novels I read pretty much back to back were Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, and The Crow by James O'Barr. So I came in hot, right?
Yeah.
And that's not because I had great taste. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff, but those are for different reasons the first 3 graphic novels I read. And I fell in love with the medium. Harvey Pekar, the late great Harvey Pekar, talked about how comics are words and pictures, and you can do anything with words and pictures. That was it. I've always been a voracious reader. I loved the fact that if I found comics I'd have more to read every month. But then just the medium and the way you can tell stories. We talked about film a minute ago. Film's cool, but comics are amazing. And I just love the juxtaposition of words and pictures and how you tell a story through still images and dialogue and captions and stuff like that. It just, I'm very much a horror guy, but I'm a horror guy who loves comics just because this medium is so powerful.
Yeah. And the thing about comics, you can tell any kind of story. So I think I grew up with the misconception. I'm just like you. I didn't get into comics till I was a teenager either. But I grew up with the conception that comic books were just like superheroes, right? And that was all the kind of stories that they told. But I remember getting into things like The Crow as well. And I remember my very first comic book was actually it was the death of Superman, which was obviously huge when that happened, in the 90s.
It was the anniversary of that issue coming out today too.
Yeah, it's its anniversary, and that was the first book that I actually went out and got because it was a big deal at the time.
Sure,
Superman. But then it kind of introduced me to other things. Like my cousin was really big into it, so he introduced me to things like The Mask and The Crow,
Yeah.
and all of these really, really interesting stories. And then Watchmen. I mean,
Mhm.
Watchmen was such a huge influence. So you went from there, and then you started writing comics, right? You
Mhm.
started reading all these. When did you start writing, and then what was the first book that you got published out there?
Uh, I discovered comics as a teenager and realized like that if I was going to dedicate my fiction writing in this medium, I really wanted to make sure I made a strong impression the first time. I ended up kind of veering into music journalism and stuff like that, and entertainment
Okay.
journalism for about 10 years, just kind of keep my hand moving and stuff like that. And it's when I landed an interview with Mike Patton, an in-person interview with Mike Patton, who was
Wow,
fairly reclusive at the time.
that's awesome.
Right. That I was like, I've hit the top of the mountain, and I started this to start writing comics anyway. It's time to start writing comics.
Yeah.
So about 2003, I started publishing my first comic series online in partnership with many different artists, uh, called Nightmare World, which is now it's been collected into a whole omnibus, the complete collection through SourcePoint Press. But this was my first comic book series. It's an anthology of 52 different 8-page stories, each written by me, drawn by different artists or art team. So you
That's
go through the book and you see all these different art styles and things like that. But this was my love letter to horror, and my love letter to short stories. I've always been a short story guy, and I've always felt that when I started Nightmare World, especially, I felt horror was really being kind of ghettoized, and I felt that short stories were being ghettoized. And in knowing that the foundation of comic books was so much in short form horror, and in the early 2000s, it was just really just kind of like cast aside. I said, I want to bring it back. And I want to
Mhm.
show, and again, of course, this is like a cocky, like 20-year-old as you guy,
Oh yeah.
like piss and vinegar, very punk rock for a metal guy. Right. I said, I want to show why I love horror so much. And I want to show all the stuff you can do under the umbrella of horror. So every story in Nightmare World was a different genre of horror with a different artist or art team, 8-page self-contained stories but then the cherry on top was over the course of the series, all the standalone stories wove into one giant story.
Mhm. I love that.
That's how I started, and I've kind of joked on more than one occasion. I've been kind of building my house on Nightmare World ever since. That was how I came in, and that was 20 in March. It'll be 23 years ago.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, congratulations on the long career. That's really awesome. So now we've talked about it earlier, but now you're the publisher of Source Point Press. So can you
Yeah,
just kind of break down exactly what the publisher does at a comic book company like Source Point Press? Like what is your job essentially there with as publisher?
as soon as I know, I'll tell you.
I said, okay, I get that.
No, I've been a writer for 23 years, and in full transparency, I've worked with SourcePoint Press for the last about 7-8 years. I've been good friends with the people that run the company, but uh, Travis McIntyre, who's helping run the company, was getting ready to sunset things. He's been getting into stuff with Whalebacker, his his Kickstarter distribution company.
Mhm.
Travis, and I said no, and Josh Werner, who was the editor in chief. I said no, 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 no. I said, don't sunset the company. SourcePoint Press could have such a valuable space in the ecosystem. It
Yeah.
could be a home for creator-owned comics in the realm of horror and speculative fiction and pulp, and get back to the roots of what the company once was, and give creators who are making their own books and are willing to pay to have their own books printed and create their own books and give them access through Lunar, through Simon and Schuster. And I made this big impassioned pitch, kind of like early image for insiders. An early image model. And Travis looks at me and he kind of does this, and he just goes, so why don't you do it?
Ah, okay. I love
And
that.
okay, right. And I've always considered myself very much a pay it forward person. I mentioned earlier my book, Right or Wrong, A Writer's Guide to Creating Comics, where
Mhm.
I try to help other writers make comics. And a little voice in my ear kind of said, okay, Dirk, you've been the pay it forward guy for all these years, and it's the end. You wrote a book, and it's easy to write a book and put a book out and to point people to that book. But now you have an opportunity to take this company that might be sunset, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take capital and effort and a new learning curve.
Yeah.
How much did you mean it? How much are you the pay it forward guy? Are you willing to do this? Well, spoiler. The answer is
You,
yes. I talked myself into a job I never aspired to have, especially because I'm still an active writer.
mhm.
So, and I decided, I said, you know what? I've been very fortunate. I've been published by Image Comics. I was published by Devil's Due. I've been published by Ape Comics, many different publishers over the years. And I realized this can be a company run by not only a creator, but someone who is very staunchly an advocate for creator rights and owning your own property.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I want to have not only the most offensively transparent submission guidelines out there where people know exactly what to expect, but also I, as a writer, even though I'm the publisher, am going to be under the exact same contract any other creator gets. And that's what we do. If you go to sourcepointpress.com, you can see our submission guidelines on there, why we do what we're doing, and every single creator on our roster has the same publishing agreement. So when I talk to creators and things like that, I tell them, I said, I encourage you to have a lawyer look over the publishing agreement.
Mhm.
But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to change it because this is the deal. Even though I'm the publisher, I'm also a client of the publisher. This is
Right.
the deal that I'm under, and I can't give you a better deal than myself because there's no one I like better than myself in that regard, right? You know, and as I speak to you right now, we have 40 graphic novels lined up.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was before we even opened public submissions, right? So as a publisher, my job now is to help the creators get their books print brokered and things like that. Our chief creative officer, Josh Werner, again, has been involved in SourcePoint Press. He was actually the founder of one of the co-founders of the company. He's involved. I really lean on his expertise a lot for print brokering and things like that. Getting so many creators are paying way too much to get their books printed.
Yeah.
And it kills me. And people that should know better. So things like that, helping them get print brokering, helping get their books into Lunar, into Simon and Schuster and things like that, and just do what I can do to guide them along while also honoring the fact that I want people to be able to blaze their own path forward, do what's right for them, and also maintain my own career and my own output as a writer. But it's right now really about just reestablishing taking SourcePoint Press back to its roots. I say we publish comics with a sharp edge.
Yeah.
You look at the books we're offering, it's a variety, but there's a tonal consistency in terms of quality and just enough edginess to really make our books enticing.
Yeah. So I noticed that you guys have such a diverse range of voices and everything on the books that you guys publish.
Right.
And a lot of them are really, really big, like bold risks that you guys take on some of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, as a publisher, and what do you see as kind of the biggest kind of issue in the indie comic scene right now? It's what's kind of one of the biggest issues that's kind of plaguing it right now that you guys are trying to overcome as a company or just as an indie publisher in general, that any indie publisher is going to having to deal with at the moment right now?
This may be an unpopular answer, but you deserve, again, a very transparent answer.
Yeah.
Predatory practices from publishers.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood accounting is what I like to call it.
No, and that makes sense, right? It is that predatory.
Yeah. When you look at the submission guidelines of SourcePoint Press, one of the first things that I talk about is we will not pay to print your book.
Mm-hmm.
You will be responsible for paying for the printing of your book. But here's why. You are going to not only own 100% of your intellectual property, you are also going to own all your own stock. So both in terms of like ideology as well as physical product, it is yours. You will then only give us what we need to fulfill your distribution for you.
Gotcha.
It's as clean as I can keep it. It's not going to be the model for everybody. If you're a creator out there who's saying, pay me to make my idea and I'll give you a piece of it, no offense, I've got 20 plus of my own graphic novels. I don't want to own a piece of yours. And I promise you, young creators, you don't want me to own a piece of yours.
Right.
Don't be so desperate you're willing to sell off your ideas to someone to get it in print. Instead, build your audience. Take the time, do the work, get on the road. We talked before I came on the air. I've done 8 conventions in the last 10 weeks, give or take. I'm man, real talk, I'm 50 years old, man. I mean, believe me, it's getting harder to do.
Mm-hmm.
But get out there, find your tribe, utilize social media in a positive, effective manner so that you can get to a point where if you can print at least 500 graphic novels, we can get you a good break in printing, and then you'll own your own books and you'll have books for conventions. You'll have your own stock that you can take to conventions and then get it into Simon & Schuster, get it into Lunar, get it on Amazon. But it's very important for me as a creator to help establish that norm where, yeah, you are investing in yourself, but by investing in yourself, you can control your own destiny. One of the other things on our publishing agreement, I'm just going to go real inside baseball here just for a second.
Please, absolutely.
Any creator with us can cancel their publishing agreement at any time. Scott free. And conversely, we can cancel it if we want to, which I don't know why we would, but but again, the door goes both ways. Reason being, let's say that you publish a book through SourcePoint Press, and Scholastic comes in and wants to sign you to a 5-book deal, but they also want your current book. I don't want you here if you don't want to be here or if we're not the right fit for you, because that's not what I would want as a creator, right? Now, ideally, I hope you would stay with us because we brought you to the dance. But conversely, maybe we'll just be the sub pop to your Nirvana. And then you move on to a bigger label and you cool, man. No problem. I've had people ask me, well, how is SourcePoint Press going to make money on this model? And my answer was, I don't want to be a creator making a big profit off of other people's work. However, as a creator at SourcePoint Press, if we are continuing to all publish books that a high tide raises all ships for everybody, everybody will make more money.
Yeah.
Now, again, a year from now, I could look like the biggest idiot in the world for doing it this way.
Right.
So be it, man. No. So be it, right? But that's it. I just want the company to be able to pay for itself. I don't want to spend my money to help other people publish their books long term, but I want to give people the opportunity to get their books out there, and we can all help each other by having this family of books, this label, this publisher that people say, I read that Dirk Manning book and I really liked it. I'm going to check out the John Dexter book as well, or I'm going to check out the Corinne Roberts book, or I'm going to check out the Z.M. Thomas book, or the Christy Blanche book, or the Joshua Ross book, the Alice McKinley book, because SourcePoint Press puts out good stuff.
Yeah.
That's the model. That's the mantra. That's what we're looking at. And again, we're primarily publishing horror, speculative fiction, and pulp. There will be occasional divergences with creators that have been with us for a while, but that's what we're looking to do. And that's what we're hoping to provide an opportunity for young creators or even established creators who just want to control their own destiny in the industry and know that their stock is not going to be held hostage, their money is not going to be held hostage, and their intellectual property is not going to be held hostage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, that makes complete sense. I mean, I live in Portland, Oregon. And I know quite a few people who work in the industry up here. They work at like Dark Horse and things like that.
Sure.
And they have their ups and downs, but I think, that's the main thing I hear is that people want to own their own stuff. Like it's just, it just makes sense. And it's just what kind of any creative wants. So let's talk about the creative side of it a little bit. So you're a writer and you're overseeing a bunch of publishing, all this publishing as well. When you're looking through submissions or when you're writing yourself, what is kind of your philosophy for creating a compelling story? Like, what is it that really grips you when you're reading something? Like what are kind of some of the elements that these stories have to have in order to be successful?
I mentioned a minute ago, one of the first comics I ever read was The Crow by James O'Barr.
Beautiful.
And the thing that drew me the most to The Crow was the fact that it was such a raw, undiluted vision of what the story that James O'Barr wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what entices me. Tell the story that you are most passionate about. I should see your passion on the page, whether it's a cold, almost clinical, methodical. Again, let's go to something like Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. By the way, happy
Yeah.
birthday, Alan Moore, as we're recording this.
Oh
72,
yes.
72 years young.
That's
But
wild.
Alan Moore set out to do a very specific thing, a 9-panel grid on every page. And dun, dun, dun. But you can see the passion in that book, man. You can just see the discipline he
It's
put in.
gorgeous. Yeah.
James O'Barr bled on every page, right? Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns, again, just visceral, unhinged, like, old man Batman. Whatever that book may be, and when you look at the first lineup of books, and even deeper into our roster, I respect when I'm reading a book and I can see on every page, and I can see in how they tell the story, and I can see in the art how passionate they are about it, and that it excites them. When you look at a book like Dr. Christy Blanchard's Damnation of Charlie Wormwood, you can tell she is invested in this story of this guy that works at a jail to help his family and starts getting wrapped up in all this crazy stuff. Or you look at a book like the Bible too, right?
Yeah.
Which is, it could so easily be low-hanging fruit, but it's intelligent and it's witty and it's sophisticated. And I mean, people have seen the cover of the Bible too for years. It's gone viral 100 times by now. People don't know that's a book. And not only is it a book, it's a really well done book. And you can tell that this is something that written by a guy who's exceptionally interested in making people laugh, but also it has a reverence for the material. My book, Tales of Mr. Rhee, again, I'm on the 6th volume of this series. I'm over 900 pages deep, and I'm just as passionate about it. That's what I want to see. Just show me your passion project, and if it fits within the parameters of what we're doing at Source Point Press, and our arrangement works for you, you'll have a home.
That's beautiful. Like you can totally tell sometimes when, you can tell when someone's, I don't want to say phoning it in, but like they're writing something because they have to. And then you can tell someone who's writing something because they want to, right? Because it's from the soul and it really feeds their soul. And then it feeds your soul in return. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. We want comics with a sharp edge. That's what I tell people. Source Point Press, comics with a sharp edge, man. That's what we want. Even if it's an all ages book. Sharp edge. That's what we want to see.
That's wonderful. I absolutely love that. Speaking of Tales of Mr. Rhee, you have a Kickstarter going on, like you said, for the 6th volume of that. Can you talk about that a little bit and just tell us the basic plot of the Tales of Mr. Rhee, if you don't mind?
No, not at all. The setup in Tales of Mr. Rhee is that Hell invades Earth for 3 days, monsters, demons, things like that. After 3 days, it just stops. And everyone thinks, okay, that was pretty terrible, but we made it through. We can move on. Mr. Rhee's just a street level magician who knows that there's still monsters and demons left, and that 3-day invasion is just the first wave of what's actually coming next. Like I said, we're 6 volumes into the series. In this particular volume, it just starts off with a bang. Mr. Rhee is unexpectedly charged with protecting a potentially divine stranger from the vampire queen and her brood. Go.
I love it.
Go. And even though we're 6 volumes in, if people just see that gorgeous cover by Mike Crome and they see some of the interior art by Austin McKinley and Colin Johnson, my rule with any book I write is within 5 pages, you'll know everything you need to know to enjoy the story. So if people want to jump into Tales of Mr. Rhee with volume 6 just because they like the cover, they like vampires, whatever it is, you'll know everything you need to know within 5 pages. And if you like it, you can go forward, you can go backward. Also, though, with the Kickstarter, I have an I'm new here pledge level. You can jump in and get the whole series at a bundled price. You can just get volume 5 and 6, which is Act 2, at a bundled price. You can just get a digital library of the whole thing at a bundled price. We do free US shipping on all of our packages because, again, I just want to give people a chance to get into it and enjoy it and experience this very dark horror noir series that at times is funny, but also just very horror noir based.
Absolutely. That's wonderful, man. And they can go to the Kickstarter page for that if they wanted to donate. There's a really, like you said, there's a bunch of great rewards and stuff for that. They could just look for the Tales of Mr. Rhee on Kickstarter.
Yep. You can even go to talesofmystery.com, just TALES. OV for Ov, obviously,
Right.
and MR for Mr. Rhee, Tales of Mystery.com will take you right to the Kickstarter page. We got shirts and stuff you can get. I do crazy stuff, man. We got like the F Vampires t-shirt with this one. We have like mystery sunglasses you can get as part of the Gimme Everything.
That's
But
so
just
cool.
different ways people can jump in and explore it and just enjoy what we're doing.
I love that. Absolutely. That's great. So yeah, just speaking of Source Point Press, we'll start wrapping up here, but, what are some of your most upcoming projects that you're excited about at Source Point Press? Like if there's anything you're like, people, y'all need to watch out for this one, because it's going to be amazing. Other than the Tales of Mr. Rhee, what's on your radar right now that you're just totally, in love with, and you think people are really going to love?
Our first two titles, which are in the Lunar catalog right now, you can actually go to Lunar Distribution's website. On the homepage, you can get previews of our first two titles, because we're doing 2 to 3 graphic novels a month. One of them, and I hate saying this because I'm partially involved in it, we got to do the graphic novel adaptation of the lost Lon Chaney horror film London After Midnight.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The film hasn't been seen in 100 years. We are bringing it back as an official graphic novel adaptation, approved by, overseen by, involved with the Chaney estate, Chaney Entertainment.
Oh my gosh.
If you go to Lunar's webpage right now, you can download a sample PDF of the whole book. Really excited about that.
So cool.
In March, again, I will plug something I'm not directly involved with, but horror author Josh Malerman's first graphic novel, RSVPESP, is coming out through Source Point Press. Josh Malerman wrote Bird Box, Incidents Around the House.
Oh, wow.
His first graphic novel is coming out with Source Point Press. Other than that, again, we talked about the Bible too. I'm excited about that. Alpha Dogs by John Dexter, about a pit bull that gets basically like the super serum, like of Captain America in a way, and is being hunted.
I love that.
Damnation of Charlie Wormwood by Christy Blanche. Joshua Ross has got a book coming out called Divinity Calls Shotgun, which is kind of like Kevin Smith's Dogma, as if told through the lens of comic book artist Jeff Darrow.
Okay, I'm listening. That's awesome.
It's big and huge and mind-blowing. I think it may become one of my top 10 graphic novels of all time.
Okay.
Bug Bites by Corinne Roberts is really cool. It's about a girl who discovers like this civilization of like big bugs that are kidnapping kids. And,
Interesting.
We just got such an array of books, man. I mean, we're doing the sequel to Plan. One of the other books we're doing is with Dren Studios, the sequel to Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Yeah. So we got that. We just got a lot of really good stuff. People can go to sourcepointpress.com, check out what we're doing. Full lineup there. Nandor Fox's Shaver Seasons is another good one. But go to sourcepointpress.com and just we're a creator facing publisher. So we don't list our title. We don't list our catalog by title. We list it by creator. Mm-hmm. You click on the creator, then click the button and drop down and see all the books they're doing. All kinds of cool stuff. We got a Native American Werewolf Western Homestead coming out that was nominated for Best Graphic Novel of the Year this year. All kinds of cool stuff, man. People go to sourcepointpress.com, check it out, or go to Lunar Distribution's website and get free PDF downloads of our first two books, Alpha Dogs, and then Lon Chaney's London After Midnight.
Oh, that's so cool, man. That's amazing. So, well, Dirk, thank you so much for joining us on Pastrami Nation. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for chatting. That was awesome. And look forward to everything you guys are doing over there. It's pretty cool. So first, where can they find you on social media? Where can people follow you at?
People can follow me. Just look for the picture of the guy with the top hat and the scarf at Dirk Manning. DirkManning.com is my website. I have a monthly newsletter I send out. You can sign up at DirkManning.com, or again, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, God help me, even Twitter, X.
I hear you.
At Dirk Manning. And you can also find Source Point Press on Facebook and Instagram. Find us on there as well. Look for our active account since our rebrand. And SourcePointPress.com is our website where you can check out all of our books on there as well.
Awesome. And you guys do, you just mentioned you just came off the con circuit essentially. Do you guys do cons like generally all over the place?
Yeah.
Uh,
SourcePoint Press really became known over the last 10 years as being a very convention heavy publisher. But with me being one person and me also being a
yeah, no,
marketer, we're kind of reevaluating how we do that. However, I would suspect that you're going to start seeing more branded SourcePoint Press creators at more shows again moving forward. Maybe
awesome.
not the same way we did it before, but stay tuned. Maybe 6 months from now, we can circle back and have another conversation with what it's going to look like. But we are actively looking at getting more of our creators at shows
That's
again so they can meet people and get their books out there.
That's really cool. Yeah, I know you guys have been in Portland before
Yeah.
and Seattle, so I've seen all you guys around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check out their stuff. And also before we sign off here, I just got to mention the pastramination.com. Make sure to check out all the stuff going on there. We got some coverage from Designer Con this weekend. Nolan went to go check that out. A couple of weeks ago, I was at Kumari Con over here
Mm.
in Portland, Oregon, which was really, really fun. It was just an anime convention. Had a blast. So if y'all are watching, checking this out, go to pastramination.com. Also check us out on Facebook, all the socials. We're also on Twitter, X, and all that fun stuff. But you can also find me, Kevin Hoskinson, Kevin_Hoskinson on all those things as well. Find us on TikTok and all that fun stuff. And we will, yeah. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for checking out the show. Thank you so much again. It was wonderful speaking with you, Dirk, and hopefully we can do it again. Like you said, a few months, come on back and you can tell us those con plans and everything like that
I
in the
would love
future.
that.
So
I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you so much for having me.
absolutely. No, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Well, I hope we can talk again soon. Thank you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all have a good night and we will see y'all next week. Alrighty. Bye-bye.